Welcome back to Elevation in Action, where we explore what it means to mentally, physically elevate, and even when life has tried to silence us. Today's conversation may touch on experiences of childhood trauma, bullying, colorism, and voice suppression. We want to remind you that you are in control of how you listen. You're welcome to pause, breathe, and return when you feel ready. Our guest today is Mrs. Doris Drake, founder of Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development and Teen Lounge, a safe, affirming space where teens are encouraged to be themselves, build emotional intelligence, and rediscover their voice. Doris bravely shares her journey of growing up silencing by trauma, and how creative expressions became a bridge back to herself. This is a conversation about survival, healing, and the courage to take uh, your strength back. As we as we prepare, I want you to do me a favor. Join me in welcoming our guest today, Mrs. Doris Drake. Hey, Doris, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
All is well. All is well. All is well. I just want to say, first of all, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on Elevation in Action,
Hmm.
talking with us a little bit more about trauma impact, and then helping our viewing audience better understand what that looks like. And so, as I shared with you before, one of the key things that in starting our podcast was to focus on helping to normalize trauma. And sometimes we think, we're not impacted. We don't go through different things. And so tonight, we're going to do a little deep dive into an area that someone may be taking or disregarding, rather, that is a form of trauma. And so before we begin, I want to ask you something a little personal.
Okay.
One of the things I noticed about you in the past few months, you've been doing a lot of traveling and you forgot to put me in the suitcase with you. You forgot to take me.
Um,
My cousin would say, "You didn't take baby. Come get baby."
you,
You left me out of the suitcase, Doris. so, so what I want you to do, tell us a little bit about your travel and what has your experience been like? Because I'm gonna tell you something. I seen you and I'm like, look at her, like,
well, I guess the travel just come with me. My daughter plays professional basketball overseas, so with her being playing basketball overseas, they give me the perks of having an opportunity to go overseas to watch her play, and at the same time use that opportunity to see the world. Prior to her going overseas, I didn't have that opportunity. So just, I guess, reaping the benefits of her labor, of her fruits of her labor,
that's
has
that, that's
allowed me
called
to
that's called
travel.
investment. I invested. That's what I told my kids
There
when they
you go.
graduated. Hey, I invested in you, so I get this.
I
so
There you go. The gifts. That's what
yes.
that's all about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, let me ask you another question in regards to that. Just with the experience, what did you learn about yourself? Give us something that the travel, wherever, whichever area that you traveled in, what
Mhm.
was that like for you? How did it help you to see Doris?
Well, what I could say, it allowed me to step back and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you how much you follow me, but if you do, you see I'm all over the place. CEO of Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development Program, and that just come with just various hats that I have to wear, various responsibilities, and then on top of that, to keep the nonprofit afloat, I'm doing other things. So what that allowed me to do is just have a moment of peace, a moment of stillness, and
Mm-hmm.
a moment of just being able to sow back into myself. I think I thought I did a great job of that here. But once you're away and it's just you don't have all those responsibilities. It allowed me, to my mind to not be as cluttered, to just enjoy the fresh air. I didn't have to worry about anything.
Um,
So that's what I learned. That it's okay to be still. I had no choice but to be still, and it's okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's a big thing. So, we are, when you're operating in your normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times our day-to-day normalcy, our body is so conditioned to it that we don't even realize that, hey, we need to take a break. I need to rest. And then to be able to get away and,
Mm-hmm.
just not think about a to-do list. And then it's like the weight starts coming down and it's like, whoo, Lord, I needed this. So yes, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yes. Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Yes,
sharing that.
ma'am.
Today we are talking with Mrs. Doris Drake. Miss Doris Drake is the founder of Rebirth Enterprise Youth Development and Teen Lounge. If you're not following her, I need y'all to follow her, okay? She's doing some amazing things. And so today our title for this evening is Silence No More. Healing Colorism, Trauma, and the Power of Our Voice. Uh, I'm so glad you chose that title. And I say that because I talk so much about those primary areas of
Mm-hmm.
trauma and voice, the power of our voice. I am very, very, very big on the power of our voice and what that looks like. And so I see we have Miss Shannon Robinson on, and she says she's following Rebirth. So thank you so much
Yes,
for
that's
following.
my wonderful vice president. My
Vice
wonderful vice
President.
president. Yes. So I
That's
also have to give her
awesome.
kudos when you asked me how I was also able to relax while I was out of the country,
Mm-hmm.
because I had an awesome vice president who
Wow.
allowed me, and when she came in at the right time. And so
Mm-hmm.
her coming in allowed me not to be stressed because I knew the organization was in good hands. And
Absolutely.
she supports me. As you see, she's on here now. Hey Shannon.
that is that is the most important part. When you have a partner, people don't
Mm-hmm.
realize when you have a committed partner, not just a partner, a committed partner
Committed.
who is invested in the vision and invested in seeing the growth, that makes a world of difference. So we are tooting your hands, Shannon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, love. We really appreciate you.
Yes.
So let's do a deep dive, Doris.
Okay.
When did you first realize that your silence, and pulling that from our title, when did you first realize your silence was connected to trauma and not your personality?
When I was younger, I don't know if I understood it in the way you just stated it, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was dealing with two issues that caused me to feel uncomfortable to speak and did not want to be seen. And that was I had a speech issue, as well as I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 79, grew up in the 80s, and colorism during that time was it was so traumatic in our culture. I'm not talking about in other races, but within our own culture. The colorism was very traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if I understood it in the way you're saying it, but because of that, it made me not want to be, those two issues made me not want to be seen nor heard.
You actually answered it very well. You first started out talking about speech impediment. Can you give us a little bit more information about how did you what was your speech impediment like?
Well, I didn't get diagnosed, but I noticed that there were certain words that I just could not pronounce. And I couldn't pronounce. So I come from a big family, and so me and my sisters we're literally right behind each other. So with that
Mm-hmm.
being said, I'm seeing them progress and getting an AAP and things of that nature. And I'm seeing that I'm having problems just with the simple words or just small words or pronouncing or not being able to pronounce my words that with STs and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get any, my parents didn't put me any speech classes or anything like that. So I just know it was different. And so it made me want to silence myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't so much of anyone teasing me, it was just my own insecurities.
Right.
As far as that, now colorism, like I said, something different. But as far as that, I just knew that something wasn't right.
I wanted you to go a little bit more deeper because of the
Okay.
fact that I am one of those individuals who has a grandchild. My oldest
Mm-hmm.
grandson, he had speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
He also went through having the speech pathologist, but the consistency, and I'm sharing this information for those that are listening or that may come on the replay. Because he went through that, and he didn't have the consistent therapist that was, because he lived while he was here, he started doing well with his speech, and the stuttering was becoming minimized. But he comes from a military family, and so when mom returned and he went to back to Virginia, then there was another group of us, that wasn't the same as here. So it set him back. He kept going, setting back until now he still has a stuttering issue. And
Okay.
but I could see that, just like you shared, I could see insecurities coming in. I can see issues going through. But this is the thing, he has normalized how to work within it, that
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't see or believe that there's a hindrance in how he moved forward. So that's why I asked you to go a little bit deeper, because it is important, for us to be able to get the support we need, because at one point in time, my days, that wasn't the thing. We didn't have someone teaching us, like a speech pathologist, to teach us about that. So Doris, how did you actually develop your voice?
Just over time, like I said, my aunt, we was actually in a group called Liz Kids, and I don't think
Mm-hmm.
my aunt LaConte at the time knew that she was sowing the seed, and as well as helping me develop my confidence in my voice. So she would put us in front of various, we would travel. I would do, we would sing, we would do monologues. And so again, I was pushed out my comfort zone. And then being pushed out my comfort zone, that's when I think I realized, okay, I can speak. And there's something that I can't say. I can study on it. I can learn how to pronounce it. But she ultimately planted that seed for me to have that confidence. And I'll be honest, even this conversation is uncomfortable. This is the first time I spoke on this. I don't know if anyone knew I had this issue besides
Mm-hmm.
maybe my sisters and my immediate family. This is the first time I have publicly came out and spoke on this issue. So even with me speaking on it now, because I never spoke, or I never spoke out loud, it's like I'm revisiting the trauma of it. Because like you said, your grandson got help. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if you're saying that those things wasn't there in your age. I don't know if it was in mine because I didn't get it. I think at one time the doctor said, hey, we may have to. I think the only option that I can remember that was given to my parents is something about my tongue was heavy. They said we may have to clip my tongue or something like that in that nature. And my parents were like, no, we ain't going that route. So I don't think therapy or anything was offered. I think it was something as simple as saying something, I need to do something with my tongue or something in that nature.
Right.
So again, like this is the first time, I'm actually speaking on this issue. So it's still, and now that I'm revisiting it, it still has me now nervous because I really don't know how to answer that question for you because I did not get help.
Well,
How did I find my voice again? Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
I say so. I'm sorry.
Well,
No, I was saying,
I'm sorry. You and I are both like, I think there's a little delay or something. I
you're
apologize for
fine.
that.
Yes,
Man.
ma'am.
but I did suffer from it as well. I grew up, I
Mhm.
started real bad, and I also bit my nails because when I would become nervous or anything, and that also was due to childhood trauma. And so
Mhm.
I do understand, I relate. But the thing for me, they did not offer it in my little town, my little community. We didn't have a speech pathologist inside of our school, anything such as that.
Mhm.
Uh, but the thing that I did, my mom could only afford one of those encyclopedias that they used to sell, and so she bought one book. And so when she bought that book, I was so intrigued by the
Mhm.
words that I went through, and I would get
Mhm.
one word and I would practice it over and over and over until I actually had the word down pat. And so I began to develop my speech just from practicing. I don't know why or how I was influenced to practice, but that's what I started doing. And so it really helped me. Now, the other part to that is when I become nervous, it comes out. Just like you were saying, hey, even right now talking about this, if I become nervous over anything, you'll know that I started because I'm going to start, And so I've heard people say, well, I've never heard you stutter. I'm like, yeah, I was stuttering. I was double clutching. I was, I was doing.
Not double clutching.
So I want to go back to colorism because I don't think
Mhm.
we talk about that a lot in our culture. And so now we through certain children, certain youth becoming bullied that now has like modeling careers
Mhm.
and um big campaigns. We're talking more about colorism, but we never talked about colorism during, I grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s. We didn't
Mhm.
talk about it as much. And I don't even think to a certain degree that we were very proud as we are now of our color. And so,
Mhm.
or our, of where we're at. So what do so I want you to kind of go back to that space in time and what was that like for you?
Oh well, I think that. So let's start back. Let's go back to civil rights, and I think I'm gonna tie it in,
Okay.
right? So what civil rights acts was in 1964. I was born in 1979. So at this time, this is just my personal opinion. As we became integrated,
Mm-hmm.
we as a culture lost our identity, and now I'm black and I'm proud. So the experience I experienced is in the culture. If you was anything that resembled dark and you wasn't on the integrated side, where you could blend in, you're made fun of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think, and I thought that it was just the way of life. So I never talked to my parents about it. I just thought it just was the way of life. I really thought it just was a curse. The way the kids would tease, just because I was dark skinned. I saw other dark skinned people getting picked on. I just thought that that was just the way of living. I was born this way, and I really thought it as being a curse. It was
Mm.
very traumatizing to the point. I think I shared this with you when I was in the sixth grade. I tried to literally bleach my skin, because I thought that bleaching my skin would make me more integrated, would make me more accept, make not even the other cultures, but make me be more accepted in my own culture.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that that's horrible, but that was the reality.
Yes. But think about, as you sharing that, I'm remembering the bleaching cream that was always on a shelf somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
we would be using that trying to bleach our skin. I was a Noxzema girl. So, so at least I was cleaning my skin, but I didn't, but I do remember the bleaching cream and it was always visible at somebody's house in my family.
Uh-huh. You breaking up. You
Oh, I'm
can you hear
sorry.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, you was breaking up.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Let me see. Okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Miss your president, Miss Shannon shared that she said because we started trying to have that close proximity to white. Ooh, you are so on it. Close proximity to whiteness. I never thought about that connection.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And think
Mm-hmm.
about this, Miss Shannon and Doris. We were, like you said, 64, 65. That was rights era, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
were, we're very close to slavery during that time frame. At least I can say I was,
Very.
because I grew up in
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, and so we still had that. You had
Mm-hmm.
individuals who had that slavery mentality, and so hearing the N word that we are talking about so much today was very prevalent during my time, and
Mm-hmm.
um, calling a guy, a male black boy, that was very prevalent
Mm-hmm.
during that time frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were very exposed
Yeah.
to it.
And I think that the trauma, yeah, I think the trauma with colorism is almost like a secret that was within our culture.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I talk to, my sister, who's about the same complexion as me, I didn't know that she was going through being teased like I was being teased. Like I said, it wasn't even talked about. It just seemed like the
Mm-hmm.
norm. It just
Mm-hmm.
seemed like that was supposed to be, like you said, we weren't too far from, I wasn't a slave, of course, but as far as our rights, we wasn't too far from that. So when we became integrated, like I said, we lost our identity and that
Mm-hmm.
pride. So with
Yeah.
losing our identity and that pride, um, caused us to, as Shannon said, whitewash who we are. You
Mm-hmm.
had, and I was too dark,
Yes.
and when you look back in what did America, the standard for American beauty was far from what I was.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't me,
Yeah.
according to America. And so you have to understand, I'm a child dealing with this. We're not talking about it as an adult. So I'm a child dealing with this. And in my mindset, it is what it is. I just have to,
Mm-hmm.
I'm born with this curse. I'm dark skinned. I'm always going to be perceived as ugly. I'm always going to perceive as the girl who no one wants to talk to, just because I'm not lighter. And this is just what life was. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it just seemed so normal. And I remember when I was talking to my one of my sisters, she said, "You know what? We never." I was like, "I didn't know you was going through that too." She said the same thing to me. She said, "I didn't know that, you was going through that as well." And I was like, "Well, did you ever talk to mom and dad about it?" She was like, "No." I said, "Me neither." And both of our responses, we just thought this is what it was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
culture.
Yes, and it was it's bringing up a lot of memories for us, and I don't want to,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
we
yeah.
could really
I mean,
we
even
could have
now, I
another
have
set. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was saying yes, it does, because even now, and what's funny is, like, it's hilarious to me now, because the same guys who would tease me in middle school and high school, I think dark skin came in by the time I got in high school, maybe about 10th or 11th grade was okay. But those same guys who tease me now I want to talk to them. I'm like, I look the same. There's nothing different. There's
They
nothing different
grew
about me.
Yeah, they grew
Like,
up.
there's
They
nothing
became
different. Oh,
intelligent.
now I'm this beautiful black queen. Now your skin is beautiful. It was beautiful then. I didn't know that. I wish I did. No
Mm-hmm.
different. None. So, but that then again addressed the issue that we had within our culture. Because if I look
Right.
no different, but I was a problem then, and I'm not no longer problem. Now I'm this beautiful person. Now I got this beautiful skin. Now all this beauty. That lets
Mm-hmm.
you know that the issue just was within us,
Yes.
and we just
Yes.
evolved. And as you say now, Now we just going back to yeah, I'm black and I'm proud, I'm beautiful, the
Mhm,
darker the bear,
mhm.
all that. Now that's, you know, um, more acceptable. But yeah, it was hard growing up.
Exactly. I'm going to go back to the silencing of your voice. What was the cost of that, of having your voice, of silencing your voice? What was the cost for you and the things that you failed to show up for?
Just showed up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't confident in who when it's doing that. It's but can you still hear me when it's doing that? Because it's
It's I'm hearing there's like a little mini glitch or something, as well as a little tiny delay I'm detecting.
okay. So I if I didn't have any confidence in myself, I mean I can't show up for myself. I can't be my authentic self. I can't
Mm-hmm.
walk in my purpose. I can't walk in my calling because I want to be silent. And what's crazy, I don't know if I'm using the right word, is it is my voice that's part of my gift.
Mm-hmm.
I travel and speak to kids. I do spoken word. So it was my voice that God gave me to be a part of my calling and my passion. But that's that very thing I felt uncomfortable with. So to answer your question, I mean I couldn't just show up for myself. I couldn't grow into who I at a young age, but at a young age, I couldn't cultivate myself or grow into who I needed to be and grow my voice because I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to be in the back. I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want to be heard. One, as we already talked about the speech issue. Then two, I didn't want anyone to see me because I was dark. I didn't want to. I felt like I was going to get. Well, I knew I would get teased. So I'm happy. But that
Mm-hmm.
started off a delay in me walking in a younger age in my purpose.
Absolutely. There, I want to let everyone know we do apologize for the glitch that is in our internet. I am in a new area, so I'm getting used to all of this issues over here, but there is a little slight delay, so please be patient with us. Doris, I want to go back to you mentioned your Liz Kidd, your Aunt LaConte. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing her name
Yes, ma'am.
correctly.
The content, yes, the content,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. And the singing, the monologues, and all the things that she introduced you to. Um, how did that performance help your voice, help you show up and be present, not just for yourself, but for those that you serve?
Um, like I said, I don't think at the time she realized that the way God was using her to help me battle against my own doubts, so that when I do find that confidence, I'll be able to walk in it and be able to recall those times when I was younger, even though I was fearful or doubtful, I was still able to perform. I was still able to use my voice to uplift others in spite of how I felt. So as
Mhm.
I got older, I was able to grab onto those memories and those things that she put in me when she would put us in front of people. Now it was it
Mhm.
that if you ask her, it was a struggle. That she would have me, for example, she would record us. So we would have to, let's say we did a monologue or we was in the groups, let's say we did a song. So she would record my voice, and I hated listening to my voice, and she would make me sit down. You're gonna listen to your voice. You're gonna listen to your voice. You're gonna listen to the words you're saying, and you're going to appreciate your voice, and you're going to love your voice. So
Mhm.
again, that going back, now that I'm able to do the same thing for other kids, I'm able to use that same thing that she instilled in me and how she helped me even when I didn't even see it as that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to now do the same thing.
That's a beautiful story about how she was affirming you, and you're not even knowing how she was affirming you until now. Still talking about her, but more so pulling into in your youth. How often do you see your younger self
Mm-hmm.
reflected in the youth you serve today?
Good question. Good question. Um, I see my younger self in the youth I serve almost every day. As a child who struggled to believe in my voice and understanding how my voice mattered, I often questioned whether what I had to say was even important enough to be heard. So I lack that confidence. And because I know that what I feel, because I know that this generation is still suppressing their voice, I recognize that in the young people I work with. Now, sometimes it may look different. It may not look like silence. It may look like anger or withdrawal or acting out or pretending like but beneath all those views or beneath all those ways they're covering up or suppressing that, every child wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And that's the experience that with me experiencing that in my childhood, in my life, I was able to recognize that, and I am able to recognize that with this generation.
Thank you so
So I
much.
understand like when I see them, I can see them suppressing because
Mm-hmm.
they don't feel like they have a voice to be heard, or they don't feel like no one understands them. Again, so my way was silence, and their way may be acting out in anger to cover it up,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe pretending, like I said, like they don't care. But up under all that, every child wants to be heard or seen, and if it's not, it ends up being like how I dealt with childhood trauma.
Staying in that same space, um, why does rebirth exist as a protective and restorative space for youth?
You cut off. Say it again.
Why does Rebirth Enterprise exist as a protective and restorative space for youth?
For me or the youth? Okay, you
The,
cutting off
the
on me.
youth. I'm sorry, the youth.
Are you saying for myself or the youth?
For the youth.
Okay, so ask the question again because you cut it in and out. I'm sorry. You said,
That is so irritating.
why is rebirth a place, a safe
Uh-huh.
place? I'm assuming that's what you're saying.
Yes,
For
safe
is
place.
that what you said?
Hmm. Yes, a safe and protective place for youth.
Because I can identify again. Okay,
Hmm.
for the youth. Again, because I went through, it may look different as far as not wanting to be seen or heard, but because I went through that, I'm able to identify. I'm able to understand where they're coming from. So being able to understand where they're coming from, I'm able to create a safe place where they feel their voice is heard and they can grow holistically because I'm able to identify that. You know how like if you want to try to figure out an analogy, you know how you'll feel comfortable going to talk to someone that's been through it
Hmm.
because they've been through it, they'll be able to help you through it. They can probably empathize more. So it's
Hmm.
no different. And I think that's what draws the youth to me. I'm able to identify the same issue may look different based on my own trauma of when I was growing up and not wanting or feeling like I didn't have the space or opportunity within myself, not just while within myself, to be heard or seen. So with that, I'm able to create that safe place for the youth so they can feel heard.
I will tell you, I think one of the most beautiful sights that I have seen is during your interviews with our local television station and seeing all of these happy faces around you. The youth just, brightening up about, you know, about your, the programs, what you bring, and the importance, and just to hear you
Yes, ma'am.
share about it is very beautiful. Here in this space here, I want to make a little transition. And in that transition,
Okay.
I want to bring out our Brittany. Say hi, Brittany. I Brittany is our trauma mascot. And so what she does is she helps us to explain things that are going on.
Hey, Brittany.
Yeah. And so, Doris,
Mhm.
remember earlier when you shared, it's like, hey, as I'm sitting here talking to you and talking about my voice and talking about colorism and how it was bringing up things, Brittany is going to help us explain, not just to you, but to our viewing audience, what is happening with the brain and how it is happening. And there's a key word I want you to remember, and it's called amygdala. And so the amygdala, we kind of we renamed her to Amy. And so I'm going to turn Brittany around. So back here in this area of our brain is where our amygdala is stored. And in a sense, it sort of looked like a lizard brain. And so, and in our lizard brain is like, just think about a file cabinet. So everything, every emotion, everything has went on with you is stored in your file cabinet. And so tonight, because you gave yourself permission to talk about it, to bring up those old missions, guess what Amy little busybody was doing? She was bringing out all of those memories, all of those emotions, all of those things. And so
Mhm.
it took you back to that child, and it took you back to that place where your brain took over, and it did what it did to try to keep you safe.
Mhm.
It's very important. And so not only did she go through those issues with her brain, but guys, I want to teach you something else. With the amygdala, the brain also did in her protective mode. Let me rephrase this. In her protective mode, um Brittany, the Brittany actually turned around and did let me put this up, add this to the stage. Okay, there we go. Brittany actually, her voice, she impacted her voice. Her voice, remember how Doris talked about her voice was silenced? See, her voice operated in one of these 6 forms of stages. So just to give you a little recap, she said she was in the what? Stage 1, the model 1, where her voice was silenced. So Brittany, in her protective mode that took over, silenced Doris' voice. And there are times where she, even in her silent state, even when she felt confident to speak, it might have came out all groggy, and she might have felt like she was choking. That's a strained voice. And she also had a survival voice. So she fluctuated from model 3 to model 4. But let me share something with you that was so amazing. Because she had an Aunt Liz, she was a part of Aunt Liz's program. What her aunt did for her is she helped her to move her voice from model 3 and put it into a place of model 4 where it began to search, because she started putting her up front to speak, causing her to listen to the recording. That was her voice was searching. She was searching for her voice. She was getting comfortable with her voice. And trust me, she didn't say this, but I promise you, she was very emotional every time her Aunt Liz put her in front of that microphone, or if it was that little tiny 8-track recording thing that we all used to talk in.
Yes.
It was Amy Little Butt was busy pulling stuff out and impacting. Amy and Hippie was impacting those emotions and her feelings. And so when you listen to her today, guess what you're listening to? And I'm kind of skipping a lot, but when you listen to Doris today, you're listening to a regulated voice. You're listening to an empowered voice because she was affirmed by her aunt, because she was shown different things. She actually
Mhm.
has cultivated a very strong, powerful voice, and she knows that her voice is important, even though she still became impacted. You know, why she became impacted, that's another
Mhm.
segment. All of that stuff, we're not gonna do all of that. But that is what it transpired to. So I wanted to educate each of us in that space
Yes.
um, about our voice. And so I also want to let everyone, and as before we prepare to move out, Dart, give us a little feedback. How do you feel about this interview, what you learned, um, and shout out about yourself and your programs and all of those things as well.
Yeah. If you give me one
Yes,
second,
absolutely.
I just realized my plug came out. My computer about to die.
No,
Give me
we
one
don't want
second,
that
plug
to
it
happen.
in.
We don't want that to happen. While you're doing that, I am going to
At all.
introduce everyone to Teen Lounge. Rebirth has created a new teen lounge here in Columbia, South Carolina, and we would love for you to make certain that you connect with Doris Drake and her team, President Miss Shannon Roberson. They have a phenomenal place. This is that safe place that you heard us talking about. And so, Doris, could you give us a little bit more information in regards to Teen Lounge? Yes, Doris, we will come back to her in regards to that. I don't know if there's an issue on her end or not. So let's go back. Um, Let me see. Okay, Doris, can you hear me? Okay, I don't know if there's something happened with her laptop or not, but everyone, I want to say thank you for. But what I want to say thank you for.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you going in and out, and you was freezing.
You actually froze
But
completely.
I would love to speak on the organization, but I don't. Can you hear me?
No, what I'll do is I'll put information up in our community for everyone. I'll share more of the flyer in the Rediscover Me
Am I
community. I'll
freezing?
share more. Yes, yes. So I'll because she's freezing and we're having a lot of technical issues. What I want to do is I want to invite everyone that is listening, everyone that comes in on the replay. As you can see, there is a link at the bottom of the screen for you to donate. I believe in supporting individuals that are doing great things, and Rebirth Enterprises is doing a great things for our youth. And as you know, we have some youth that are, that are just like us, like Doris and myself. They've been through some things. They're trying to find their voice. They're trying to find their place in this world. And what better program to support? I encourage you to go on her website, which was up for earlier. And check them out. I would also encourage you to make a donation. Volunteer. I don't think I can say that enough. Volunteerism is
Yes.
that's the heart of every nonprofit. We need people that can show up, that can support, that can help with expenses and things. So please do that. And so what I want to do is thank Doris for joining us and thank each individual that has been here listening. And please make certain that you connect with us. If you have any questions, reach out to us at rediscover. Now I keep wanting to say rediscover me. Elevation in Action. Contact us at Elevation in Action through Messenger. All of that information as well. And so, as we prepare to close, Doris, thank you so much for joining us again. And um, we want to remind each and every individual, if any part of Doris' story stirred emotions, memories, or sensations in your body, that is not weakness. That is your nervous system remembering, which is what Doris was doing. Please take a moment to breathe. Allow yourself to pause and step away, seek support, heal, and remember that healing is required. Your voice matters, even if it trembles, even if it whispers, even if it's still learning how to speak again. Thank you so much for joining Rediscover Me, Elevation in Action and Rebirth for tonight's segment. Take care, everyone, and have a good night.